Hello, hello. Again, it's Wednesday, 10th of July, and we are here as usual every Wednesday. And today's topic it is experience of life, determinism or free will. It's a good discussion. Both carries a lot of responsibility, but let's develop the topic along our talk today. Meanwhile, good evening, Ms. Gibbons. How are you, my dear?
Hello, good evening, Stevan. Hello, Charles. And hello, everyone that is watching us. I'm very well, thank you. And I hope everyone is well too. We were just discussing before the weather hasn't been the best of summer so far. Lots of rain, wind, and a little bit of sun, and then goes dark. But that's how it is, and enjoying ourselves. We're going to discuss a really good theme today about free determinism, and those things. Often, sometimes we forget. We think about a free will. We can do whatever we want. So this would be a very interesting topic to talk about today. And so I hope everybody enjoys the conversation and join in if you can. And it's lovely to be with you.
Good, good. So, bonsoir, Charles.
Bonsoir Steven, bonsoir à tous. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Again, very happy to be here with all of you to talk about this amazing subject of freedom, liberty, or determinism. So we got some hints from the spirits about this, which makes sense and which makes us happy and makes us also more responsible. So this is what we will try to transmit to you today. Sorry.
Perfect. Okay. So let me go with the video.
If you take a newborn baby and as they begin to grow, if at every step we're holding them and the child never learns to walk, he'll never be able to do it on its own. God is similar in that way. We have this free will because the spirits tell us in the Spirit's book, in the Gospel according to Spiritism, that we ourselves must learn through experience. We are born simple and ignorant and inexperienced. We would say, according to Spiritism. So we need to go through these experiences.
And if we get in touch with us, with ourselves, and do our inner trip and constantly be in contact with my true self, that will be easier for me to understand what are the limitations of my free will. And naturally, we will respect our values and our nature.
A lot of the things that we are facing today are the consequences of our previous acts, either in this life or in a previous life. So the concept of God becomes a more encompassing one, a more caring one, a more loving one, that in fact has not neglected us, has not abandoned us, quite the opposite. It's actually giving us a way for us to move forward and learn through our own actions.
All this is that we have nowadays. It is somehow a continuation of the kind of life we had, previously speaking.
So there is a program where we cannot go really wild. When we talk about disasters, human-made tragedies, sometimes we're so astonished that we think, where was God in this? And is this what free will can really do? And then we realize that in spite of the atrocities that may happen, there is a limit to it. So there is a combination of what we can do in the limits that are given.
I think that we can make choices, but to the extent that we are able to understand the consequences of our choices. And so sometimes that explains why we feel like we can have a choice to do things, and sometimes we feel powerless. We don't have a choice. It's because either it's a consequence of a previous act that we had, or it's because we're not able to make a good decision. So somebody else makes it for us that has a little bit more of a learning. But yet, we do believe that because God is so great and God knows all the choices we're going to make, even if we haven't already made them.
That's the beauty of how God creates the dynamics of life. Whatever pathway I choose, I will end up encountering that which I must learn. It's inevitable. So we might as well accept the situation we find ourselves in, use prayer to encourage ourselves, and just go with it.
So we do believe that there is a God, and we do believe that, in fact, God wants us to evolve, and that also God respects us so much as to give us our free will, has the ability to make choices. And based on the choices we make, we have certain consequences to our actions that may lead us into a path of a little bit more happiness or a little bit less happiness. However, we also know that at the end of the day, God, being all love and all justice, and it's hard to understand a God that's all loving and all just without having free will in the picture.
So we see here free will is a very important factor. The freedom of choice is a very powerful thing, and one that shouldn't be taken as a joke or as by chance. Nothing in life happens by chance.
Okay, so it was a video longer than we used to play, but was a very good introduction for ourselves. They touched a lot of good points, but I'd like to start defining what's the difference between determinism and free will. Charles, can you take from here?
Yes. Basically, it's more than a difference. It's the opposite. It's either determinism or free will. Okay. So determinism basically makes us as machines. Determinism means once you have the initial conditions, you can calculate and anticipate whatever this being will do. So like a machine, the machine is doing exactly what the machine has been designed for or programmed for. Okay, so determinism would mean we are nothing more than a machine. The conscience is a product of the brain, and the brain has some biochemical reactions which we can forecast as long as we know the initial conditions. And so all what we do, all what we say, all the decisions we make, even all the other type of phenomenon like intuition or whatever, would then be just a consequence of these biochemical reactions in our brain, depending on some initial conditions. So this is determinism, So you have no free will at all. Everything is programmed from when you are born, as I said, from the initial conditions. Okay. So it's amazingly reducing concept. It's really very, very narrow. Do you really think you are a machine? I think I'm not a machine. What do you think, Stevan? Are you a machine?
No.
No, you
No,
see.
I'm not.
Sometimes we have unexpected reactions. We can move, we can decide, we can jump, we can laugh, we can cry. We can have some intuitions. We can contact two bigger upper dimensions out of our space-time for a quadridimensional universe material that we are living. So it's amazing how science mainstream up today is still adopting as a dogma, because it has never been proven, adopting as a dogma this determinism. So killing all of free will. And this has a lot of consequences. For instance, if I tomorrow go out and kill someone, it's not my fault. I'm not responsible. It's just my machine. The machine is failing, so we put the machine in the jail. Now, this is determinism. It kills all notion of responsibility. It kills all notions of morality. A lot of things are absolutely void, without any meaning. If we would be a machine, we can easily understand it. And the free will is totally opposite. The free will means we are free to decide to go or not to go, to do or not to do, to say or not to say at any moment in our life. Of course, there are some limits to the liberty and to the free will, but I think we will talk this into the further question. But roughly, no, I'm definitively not a machine. The one who believes they are a machine, okay, it may make their life simpler. They do not need to think a lot about the things, but I prefer this concept as it has been shown in the video, where we have the free will and we are all progressing and evolving according to our efforts and to the use of our will. Otherwise, we would simply be a machine and program, nothing, no surprise, no good decision, nothing could happen if we are simply a machine.
Perfect. Thank you, my friend. I also want to give a good night to Elsa and Lou VM, who is watching us. And Ms. Gibbons, do we mistake between, do we make confusion between determinism and free will just to make our interpretation easier, or give us with the feeling of less guilty? Do we play with this? Okay, sometimes it's my free will, I have my free will, but sometimes no, it's determinism, I cannot do anything. It is what it is. So I have the impression we, including myself, sometimes we use this to give a lot of excuses.
Well, it is it's a very interesting point, and it's very important for us to think about it, because we use things sometimes, don't they? Like you were saying, we use that, I couldn't help myself, it's written. And I think sometimes there are quite a lot of religions, they have this idea of determinism, that everything is planned, and of course in spiritism is very the opposite. I think I like to make a point, actually, because rather than me blowing on and on, just read something from the spiritual guide of Chico Xavier, Emmanuel, which I think answers the question. It's interesting for us to know. He says that determinism and free will coexist in life. They coexist. And they cross the roads of our destinies towards the elevation and redemption of mankind. So the first, determinism, is absolute in the lower levels, in the lower evolutive levels. In the lower level of evolution, it's determinism that is rules. But the second one, as we acquire values, education, and experience, we begin to observe other things. And we have the divine determinations, which is based on the law of love, which is sacred and unique. And then we take our own responsibility. And I think that's basically all of us, have already reached that level in which determinism, that is part of it in our lives. We know that when we are reborn into this life, in the physical life, we made some plans for our lives. In coming back, we had a plan of life, what we would do based on what we've done in the past, the lessons that we need to learn, the lessons that we are asking to learn, how we're going to readdress the wrongs that we've done in the past. So we have a kind of plan, but it's not anything that cannot be changed. And a lot of things, as we do things in life, if we make choices for doing things, help others, we'll be more aware of a relation in the world with ourselves, between others. If we work, do work of goodness, of tolerance, of understanding, sometimes we change plans that we had made. We can improve them, we can get better, we can even overcome sometimes. But then I think going back as well, saying within this plan, we already there making the plans for our life as it's going to be. And we have a free will. We have the choice to do what we have. And I think what Emmanuel says, giving the experience of life, what we've learned, that we have already learned certain values, that we have a certain understanding. The fact, for instance, that the three of us are here in 3 different countries, putting some times of our lives to be here discussing, and all the people who are listening to us as well from many different countries, and we are all together here, shows that we have already achieved a certain level of understanding of spirituality, that even though we are still very much in matter and worries of matter because we need to live in the physical world, but there's part of us who have already learned the importance of also dedicating part of the time we have here on earth to learn and to study about spirituality, because that's a real life. A life in the spirit is the life that's true for each and every one of us. So I think this is already, we making a choice there. We're using a free will because we have already achieved a level of understanding about what is required of us as human beings and as eternal spirits. We dedicate some time to talk about spirituality, to talk about our lives, to talk about different subjects that we deal with, every week. Because we wanted to learn, we wanted to understand more, because we already have within us some experience of life, not only of this life, but of past lives as well. So the more we advance spiritually, the more we have free will, the less determinism is something that is will be imposed on our lives, because then we make the choices. So to a certain extent, we do have some determinism. They still a part of our lives, but our choices, we already have enough opportunities and understanding of enough knowledge to be able to make the choices, to make it a difference, to change what was to be, and to make something, do something better. I give an example if I may. Say, for instance, a person who maybe was in battles or abused their power in the past, whatever it was. They came, when they were going to reincarnate on this earth, they asked for certain experiences. And say, for instance, they would have an accident and they would lose their legs, for instance. But because that person is really good, they're doing a lot of work helping others, they're very conscious of what their life is, and they really work towards a better world, a good, helping fellow men and everything. He may have an accident, but he will not lose his leg. He may hurt his leg, even maybe a walking stick or something, but he will not lose his leg or be paralyzed as it would be maybe programmed. So I think that's one of the most important things that I personally find in the knowledge of Spiritism, is that absolutely nothing is written in stone, and everything is judged by its own merit. And it is not static, it's constantly in movement, it's very dialectic. And if we do good, we have more. And if we go back to some of the parables, there is that very it's not that difficult. There is a parable that said, to those who have much, much will be given, and to those who have little, they were taken away. And I used to be very confused about that before I could understand what the meaning of it. It's just in a question of love. If you give love, if you give understanding, if you give, is in the question of virtues, because we tend to, of course, always look at the material side. But if we give more love, we're going to get more. And if we don't give any, even the little that we have, we lose. And everything is judged by what we do, and we can turn it, we can transform it, we can make it better, we can, something that was to be, we can make it different. And I think that is very, very important, because going to what Charles was saying at the beginning, we are not machines, but we are spirits. We are eternal beings that are here in a life now to learn, to have new experiences, because we are in the road for the progress of our spirit, which is being spirits of pure light, which we are. And, we're just being polishing a little diamonds at the moment. Our spirit needs to be shaped and cleared of all the things that holds back, so that our light can shine. So I think it's part of this wonderful experience of life, to be able to see that and to learn from every experience. There you
Good.
are.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very good. Very good. Also, we needed to understand, in our life, we always say, "Oh, I do have my free will. I have conquered my free will. Nobody tells me what I have to do, what I don't have to do." But nobody think that our free will has a limit, and this limit, it is our knowledge. As much we evolve, as much we progress, for sure, decisions we have made, not that we are regretting about the decisions, but if I have the background I have now, I should take a different road. I should take a different decision. So this is something we need to also take into consideration, because God created the natural laws. There is no, oh, let's change this paragraph here, let's put a comma here, and perhaps we can adapt the text. This is human laws. This is completely different from God laws. God laws is unchangeable, is immutable. And we are progressing, we are less suffering when we are closer or reaching very close to these natural laws. If we are far away from these natural laws, the consequence, it is the suffering. It's simple to say, but practicing it is another story. But we need to try. Since we are reincarnated, we need to accomplish our mission. I'm pretty sure you don't want to go back or need to reincarnate again because you need to keep work on the same problem. You said, oh, I need to reincarnate and get rid of this. I need to move on. And instead, we keep spinning our wheels and reincarnating to resolve the same topic, to work on the same things. So, let me see here. Charles, why do you agree with our free will is limited by our knowledge? Do you
Yes,
agree with this, my viewpoint?
by our knowledge and by our will. I will give you an example. I would love to lose 5 kilos, but I don't manage to lose them.
Yeah.
So I'm not free. I'm still kind of prisoner of the willing to eat or whatever, and I cannot have huge difficulties to lose 5 kilos. So it's one example. All these compulsive consumers or whatever, the people who see a new car, a new model of a cell phone or whatever, and cannot resist in buying one, whatever, are not free. They are prisoner from some influences that they suffer, and they are not strong enough, not evolved enough to resist to it. You see? So it's limited by our knowledge and also by our will. And also our freedom is limited by the laws of nature. For instance, we told, okay, we make a plan before reincarnating. So within the plan, okay, I want to be male or female in this life. So you combine the right X and Y chromosome, and then you are male or female, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then, okay, no, sorry, I would like to change now. Well, there are some means who allow you to make as if it would have changed, but once you are born male, you are male. You can make surgery, whatever, but Another example is you take freely the decision to jump out of the windows. But then when you are out of the windows, you say, sorry, I don't want to fall down anymore. Now you cannot. Sorry, the laws of nature are here. So you jumped out of the windows. Then the law of gravity is valid universally for everyone. You will fall down. You have no liberty there anymore. You had the liberty before jumping. But after jumping, you just are submitted universally as everyone to the laws of nature. Okay, so these are, I would say, the natural limits to our free will, to our liberty. And there are other limits which are a little bit more soft, let's say so. And it comes from the statement that your liberty stops where it jeopardizes or where it infringes the liberty of your neighbor. Okay? Because if nobody respects the liberty of the neighbor, nobody is free anymore. Okay, so these are some other type of natural laws where, as soon as we are several together living in a society, our liberty is not absolute anymore because we have duties one towards the others. We need to respect one the others. Otherwise, we get into anarchy. So people in anarchy think they are free, but someone comes and kills them. Okay, I used my free will, so you are not free in an anarchy. You know, it's an illusion that we have. Huh? So all these items are showing clearly some limitations to our liberty, to our free will. Huh? Nevertheless, there is something where we are absolutely free. It's the liberty of conscience and the liberty of thoughts. We are free to think whatever we want. We are not free to do whatever we want, but we are free to think whatever we want. And having good conscience or bad conscience and listening our conscience. This is against my conscience. I don't want to do this. For instance, go to the army or making something violent or whatever. That is there where you have a liberty. Even this can be influenced through manipulation, through education, through influences of the society. Nevertheless, and this is exactly when we progress, when our spirit is progressing, both intellectually and morally, that this liberty is really getting very, 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 very strong. Okay, so definitively we are not a machine. We have our free will. Thanks God.
Good. Yes. Perfect. And my dear Gibbons, the freedom of deciding, the freedom of choosing, exists before an action. Okay? Why? Because after the action, we have to deal with the consequences of our action. Could you please walk us through about what's the role of the action and reaction between the determinism and free will, please?
Yes, I thought it was, the point that Charles was making was very interesting. And you said something, I'm not sure if I understood you well, but I think the more knowledge we have, the more understand we have, the more free will we have, because then we can make choices, and we are less controlled by determinism, because then we have a more freedom of doing what we want to do. Now, I think one of the things that Spiritism teaches us is that nothing is forbidden. We can do whatever we like. We can decide to do whatever we want to do. Fine, you have free will, you make your choices, whether they're good or bad. You can do anything, but you need to be prepared to cope with the consequences. And I think when you said about the law, cause and effect, and, action and reaction, I think there is this expression in English that, you can dish out, but you cannot take it. If you understand. And I mean, sometimes people like to say, oh, I am the kind of person who always tell you what I think, and of course you have the right to say whatever you think, but you have to be prepared by the answer, because maybe 9 people be quiet, but one will punch you in the nose or something, that will reply to you. And I think this is one of the most important things in thinking about freedom and determinism, because if from the standpoint, once whatever we can think, whatever we decide to do, the consequences that we have, will I be able to cope with that? If this reaction comes towards me, what will I do if this happen or that happen? I think we need to think about it. And the more we understand, the more we have more freedom of understanding as well. We have behind us experience of life. If we made a mistake before, then we needed to try to avoid it. There is this very interesting story, thing that I read. I think an American book that I read, and it was a story of this man walking down this road. He had never been in that road before. So he walked because he thought it would be easier for him to get to where he wanted to go. But of course, in this road, in the middle of this road, there was a very big hole. And he didn't know it because it was the first time he was passing there. And of course, he fell down and he hurt himself, he got scrapes and stuff. And it took him quite a while for him to come out of the hole. And off he went, a bit limping, but he did go, and he was a bit hurt. So some other time he comes back and he says, "Oh, I'm going down this road." But then he knew the hole was there, but he tried to do it, and of course he fell on the hole again. It was easier for him to get up because he already had been down there. So he could come out, but he did. And in a third time he did, and a fourth time he did. And each time he went and he fell on the hole, would be easier for him to come out. So then came a time that he was going down the road, and he remembered that there was a hole in this road. So I'm going to the side. So he went around the side of the hole, so he didn't fall onto the hole again. But then another time he came and I said, "Oh no, that's the road with a hole in it. I'm going to take another road." And I think this shows, the choices that we have, because sometimes we do something wrong and we insist in doing it wrong, even though we already have the experience that we've done something wrong and we suffer for it. But, I don't know, sometimes because of pride or because we want things the way we want them to be. And we keep making the same mistakes again. Instead of using our opportunity and our choices, we keep falling in that hole until the day I said, "Oh no, that was the thing that was wrong. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go into another road." So in a way, we do have freedom of choice, and many mistakes we make are because we make the poor choices. But we need to be able to suffer the consequences of what we do, and I'm sure, at least for myself, if I'd done something wrong and, I saw the reaction or, how bad I felt after I did something, which at the time I didn't have a second thought about, just did something, and how it affected other people or how it made me feel. The next time I try not to do the same thing again. And I think that's what we're learning. Because I think Charles also mentioned something about the choices that we make. And sorry, it escaped me now, something that he said it was very important. I thought of saying it. The laws. We are in a way under the laws of natural laws, the laws of nature. But once we learn, and we do learn as we do things, as we live life, as we go through experiences, we learn things. So we know how the laws of nature are. And of course, the spirits teach us that, we suffer when we go against the laws of God, which are the natural laws. And Kardec asked the spirits, but where are they written? And the answer from the spirits was absolutely objective and no way of getting in any confusion at all. He said, in your conscience. So whoever we are, whatever we do, the laws, the natural laws, the laws of God are written in our own conscience. So in a way, whenever we make choices to do something wrong, we're going against ourselves and our own knowledge because they already exist within us. So I think if we are able to think, stop whatever action we're doing and to think of the consequences and asking ourselves, will I be able to cope with whatever will be thrown back at me? Then, you're free to go ahead or not, So I think that's what I think. If we
Yeah.
have time to think about it, maybe how many things we would not do if we stopped for just a moment before we did anything. Isn't
Well,
it?
I completely agree with you. I like I like what you are saying, and it's important what you just said at the beginning. As much we get more knowledge, more free will we have, more power we have, more not dangerous, but more important it is our decisions. It is more, we need to rely in ourselves. We need to show we learned the lesson. This is not to repeat. We overcome the issues, we overcome the barriers. We 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 know how to forgive, we know how to forget. And sometimes all these things, it's just our mouth. How many times we say, no, I forgive you, but next month, next week, few hours later, if something happened, you will, oh, no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not make his life or her life a little bit easy. No, they made me suffer. I'm gonna make them suffer as well. So we needed to we needed to balance this more wisely in order to to apply our free will. Everybody's claiming it, but few people own it.
I'm sorry,
So
but I'm saying because if you say, "Oh, I'm going to make that person suffer because they made me suffer," but this is going in a different field, aren't we, Charles? We're going into the field of vengeance, which is really bad.
I didn't want to use the field of vengeance. I used the field of,
Oh,
oh, I
retribution. You
forgive
use the
you.
word.
I forgive you. No problem. I forgive. No, this is part of the past. Wow, no, I'm completely fine. But when something happened to you and you needed to be kind with that person, you say, "Oh, really?" You know that's more the way. I didn't went in the way of the vengeance. I'm
Yes,
nasty.
I mean, you didn't say it, but if the person did something bad and now you don't want to help them or whatever, in a way you have not forgiven, because we can forgive, really and truly forgive, but we will not forget because our minds are like that. We
Yeah.
remember. But we can let go of the anger, of the hatred and everything. And, oh, yes, no, you did this to me, but I'm not going to help you. So in a way, it is a way of being vengeful. Don't you think, Charles? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to forgive is a positive use of our free will, isn't it? You need you need the will to forgive.
Yeah.
The person who has not the will to forgive will follow the instincts and will have a defensive or an aggressive or whatever behavior. And this is exactly about it. You told also about the liberty and responsibility. We have the free will, but we are responsible of the choices we made. And even this responsibility is depending on the knowledge we had when we took the decision. If we decided to do something wrong, as you clearly said, without knowing it was wrong, we will be, of course, less responsible than the case if we know something is wrong and we even so do it, then we have no excuses anymore. Our responsibility is much bigger. So it's very simple, very straightforward. And as you told very clearly, Silvia, we learn by mistakes. If when we do mistakes, oops, I have a pain due to this decision or due to this action. This is how we learn to avoid or to refrain or to prevent the same thing to happen. But again, as Stevan told it, you may do the same mistake twice, 3 times, 4 times, until you really get it as a how to say, a reflex, as something which gets automatic in you. Automatic, I would say, because you have the quick analysis and you react positively to the event which triggered those mistakes in the past, and you avoid falling into the same mistakes. This is exactly what evolution is about. Yes, so I would say if at the opposite, coming to the beginning, we say no, we are not free. We are the determinism. We are like a machine. Okay, some machines are forgiving, some other machines are not forgiving. Where is our dignity? There is no dignity anymore. There is no responsibility. We are a machine, and the machine is blind. No, we are not. So determinism is definitively a mistake. It's, to say, a presumption of science, saying everything can be explained by science. No, there are a lot of things that science did not even approach yet. For instance, the spiritual world, science is still rejecting. So this position is absolutely, not unproven, and blocking all dignity, blocking all this responsibility, the morality of the human being. No, definitively, we are free, not 100% free. We are not 100% autonomous. It's the subject also of autonomy and heteronomy, isn't it, Stevan? Favorite one.
This is another lovely subject.
Voilà. Heteronomy, you have to do what I ask you to do. Okay, I do what you ask me to do. So you are not free. You just follow orders. You just follow what somebody else is asking you to follow. Autonomy is the opposite. You do something as per your will, and you do it autonomously. We have a nice example with the kids. The kids, when they are small, they are not autonomous. You don't let them cross the road without having them holding them by their hand. At the beginning, you need to teach them to become autonomous. Look, this light has to become green, then you have to look right and left, whatever. And only when the child is reaching the maturity, it gets more autonomous. So it's exactly the same for us. Sometimes I'm amazed to see some people which are quite evolved, intelligent, going to see some mediums to ask them, what shall I do? Shall I do? Shall I not do? Shall I go? Shall I not go? Shall I separate, not separate from whatever, you know? This is amazing. Delegating your free will to someone, which is then abusing abusing of your weakness. No, we have this strength in ourselves. We are free. We have to want to be free. We have, how to say, to assume the responsibility of our choices. We have to learn. We have to progress. And this is all about a machine. Even IA, which is a lot commented recently, artificial intelligence but is the intelligence only in the name, but not in the reality, because artificial intelligence is doing only what it has been programmed for with the data which has been put available to it. But it's not intelligent like a human. So that's one more element showing that all this dimension, this spiritual dimension, which is out of our space-time quadridimensional ambient we are living in. And all this is absolutely void in the determinism, is not existing in any machine. But we have it. We have our soul, and our souls has unlimited power. And this unlimited power is governed by the right and correct use of our will. So definitively, yes, we have this free will.
Yes, and I think going back to something you said earlier, Charles, which I thought was very important, even though we can be in chains and we can be in a situation that you have to do what other people want you to, you know, in being like a slave or something, but no one can control your thoughts.
Exactly.
In your thoughts, you are absolutely and completely free. And I think this is one of the most important things that we have, because nobody, absolutely no one can own us. Because even though they may own our bodies and imprison us, what we think will be ours always, forever. You can imagine anything, you can do anything. And I think we also need to learn the power that we have in our thoughts, the creative power that we have in our thoughts. Whatever we think, we concentrate, we focus on, we create. And I think this is one of the very important things, because going back to something you said as well, in relation to, Steven, when you talk about action and reaction, you know, when we think something, we're already creating it in some level, in some energy to concentrate and think about. But I have here a quote that I got from Emmanuel, I think in the Consoler. He says, existence is a privilege of birth. So we're
like
born,
that.
we are privileged, is our existence. But life is our own work. No, nothing like Emmanuel to put a thing in perspective. Existence is a privilege of birth, but life is our own work. And I think that's what we have, the power to decide for ourselves. We have a free will to decide of doing one thing or another, making, if we're going to forgive, like Charles said, we have to be aware, we have to be conscious that I am going to forgive that person. I will not take with me whatever they dished out. I really want to let go of that anger, of that pain, of that feeling bad about it. I'm going to forgive them, because I think one of the most important things for us, for our free will, is the fact that we can let go of those feelings of hurt and upset and anger and hatred. And, instead of letting go, I'm free from it. because we can create new worlds, we can be free for ourselves. And this is an important point in our freedom, not only what we're going to do, because I think Charles made the point as well, because many times, we live in certain situations, we live in society, we have to our freedom will only go to the extent that somebody else's begins, their own freedom begins. So in many ways we are restricted, but we are not restricted in what we think and desire, and in our decisions, we are free to decide. And the more we know, the more we learn. And I think goes through life is our own work, is what we decide. To live in peace, to be in peace with ourselves is one of the most important lessons we can learn and try to do in our lives. That's, I feel it's very important to have peace of mind.
It's important to have this coverage and knowledge. Anyway, it's fundamental for ourselves.
Here we are.
To respect, to work in this every single day. This is a daily task. This is a daily activity. Watching, fixing, reviewing, redoing, apologizing, forgiving. It's a strong power in our hands, and we need to learn how to deal with. And at the same time, like we saw the free will, and the free will applies even here when I incarnate, when we are discarnated. When we are discarnated, our free will tell us, even though you say, "Oh, I will never ever reincarnate again. When I die, I will stay in Nosolar forever." Your free will someday will make you to reach your
unless you live in Rio de Janeiro, we won't go. But
yeah,
I
don't know
think in that we have a determinism, don't we? We have to rate.
Yeah. So we needed to.
If we don't reincarnate, we don't progress.
Yeah, but
so when we see we don't progress and all our beloved ones are progressing,
exactly, yes,
we will use our free will to say, okay, I will reincarnate because I want to progress as well. As simple as that.
Simple like that. Huh?
Exactly.
Good. It's a good call. Good discussion. This Charles, know these topics amaze me. And
you see how important it is and how long. You have the Statue of Liberty in Manhattan, at the entrance in Manhattan. French Revolution was liberté, égalité, fraternité. So everywhere, you have this call for liberty. Unfortunately, there are some regimes which are still resisting, which wants to use the authority and to refrain or to reduce the liberty. But you can resist, you can block temporarily the stream of a river, but at a given point in time, the river will simply go above the dam you have built, because you cannot stop it forever, And as it is a natural law, this law of liberty, of course, you see in North Korea or some countries, it may take a while still to get out of it, but it will get out of it. All those people will also get out of it. And if they have decided to reincarnate in that country, it's also to learn what it is to be influenced, manipulated, brainwashing since they are kid, whatever, so it's also an experience for all these friends, of all these brothers, that will next time for sure give much more value and respect much more the liberty of their neighbor.
Yeah, correct. That's it. So I put our announcements here. So next week, 17th of July, what role does work have in our lives? Do we need to work? So good topic. Let's see how our free will acts in this. Do we need to work? I bet so many people say, no, I don't need to work. So let's discuss this next week. Please keep reading the Spiritism magazine and listen to Kardec Radio. Also, we have the Spiritism magazine in French for the francophonic movement. So next week I will put the link here so you can reach the magazine in French as well. So this is it from us today, my friends. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the lessons, for your attention. I hope I'll see you next week. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Silvia.
Thank you. Good night. Have a blessed week, and see you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Godspeed.